Hey, what's up, y'all? This is MVP. Today with Juxtaposed, we're going to talk about happiness. What does it mean to you? And what does validation mean when it comes to happiness? Let's have the conversation. Stay tuned. Are you happy? Happy and you know it. Clap your hands. No, y'all know nothing about that. Huh?
I know about that for sure.
That's a little corny.
It could be corny, but you played it when you were younger or not?
Well, this is true.
I did.
I think I did.
Did you? If you happy, you know it. Clap your hands.
Yeah, I
played
think
that when
so.
I was younger.
I think at one time I was happy, so I think I did that.
Damn.
Okay. I don't know. It was some stuff playing in school, man.
If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, I know how.
Man, King the dog, stop playing. All right, you know the song, man. You know the song. All right, yo, Styles, what's up, man? How you feeling today, man? What's going on, Aaron? What's going on today, man?
I'm happy,
I don't know if
man.
we started. Did we start?
Yeah, we started. We started.
Oh,
we
okay,
in.
cool.
We locked in right now.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. Yeah, today we're gonna tackle the elephant in the room for a lot of people. Is what is happiness? What does that mean to you? Is it like a sock that fits every foot, or is it like something that has a hole in it when you stick your big toe through it? I don't know. What is happiness? And the question is validation, because
happiness is a penny with a hole in it.
A penny with a hole in it. You want a donut penny?
No, it's a song. Sorry.
I mean,
penny
listen,
with a hole in it.
I heard back in like the 70s and stuff, happiness was a hole for some people. So, used to go to certain places, certain appendages would wind up
wait
in
a
the
minute.
hole.
Okay. I was wondering where he was going. I was
Aaron,
really,
what are you doing right
I was
now?
very,
I'm with you for a
I
second,
said
but
nothing
what are you saying?
specific.
Anyway,
Okay,
moving along. But what is the age-old question? I mean, this is something that I think, it came up when we were doing our planning. Like, well, what does it mean? I mean, I think as creators and entrepreneurs, happiness and is like tied directly to some level of success and achieving goals and stuff like that. But then there's a challenge of like, what happens when you don't achieve that goal? Are you no longer happy? Like it's a very large problem it's a very large thing to digest. So we're going to start off with just, what does happiness mean to you?
Man, can I start this off, please?
Sure, go for it.
I think that happiness, you have to wake up every day feeling that mode, right? What I mean by that is, if you're waking up every day, I don't know if y'all seen that commercial where it's like, not another day, and the parrot's going on, meow, meow, not another day. and he's like,
I haven't seen
Have y'all seen that commercial?
No, I have not.
I haven't seen that.
There's a commercial where it's like a parrot going off, because the parrot it's kind of like deeper, because the parrot is mimicking what the master, quote unquote, I'm putting the quotes on there, is saying every day. And nobody's paying attention, but your pet is there, right? So the parrot is like, yo, not another day. And the dude is saying it every day. And I'm like, yo, I don't think that's happy. Period. Like, if your parrot or your pet is coming to you and be like, yo, not another day of you working and not feeling happy, there's a concern, right? And I think that the happiness is, hey, you don't feel like not another day every time you wake up. I know that's a little deep early.
Deep and a little dark. Like, what the hell?
Hey, it's real, because with your job, I think like the things that you're pursuing needs to give you a level of happiness to the point where you're not like every day, damn, not another day, I got to go to work, right? Unless work is working out for you. So I think that's a large part of, hey, even if work isn't working out for you, you have other things during that day that makes you happy. And we can elaborate, but I'm starting off there.
Okay. That's a good starting point. Not another day. All right, Aaron, you follow it up.
Well, the thing is that it's hard for me to define happiness because, and he said he didn't want to go too deep, but for me, that subject is a very deep subject. I don't necessarily know that I feel happiness. And for a long time, I actually chased that feeling, that joy that I guess people define as being happy. And after years and years and years of chasing that, I realized, you know what? This is like something that, for me at least, it just does not exist. It's almost like a drug addict chasing a high. So I don't look for happiness anymore. What I look for is content. Am I content with where my life is? Am I content with what my day looks like? Am I at least somewhat content with my job? Things like that. And those things bring a certain level of, I guess you could apply the word happiness to it, but there's this overarching feeling of joy that a lot of people feel that I think is what we define as happiness, and I just don't think it's realistic. So even though you're going through the daily activity of the almost like the Groundhog Day effect, I just see that as being life, and happiness comes in those bursts and spurts like everything else, like sadness, like anger. So I don't know I don't know exactly how it's defined for a lot of people, but for me, it's kind of almost like something I don't aim to achieve, if that makes
Hmm,
sense.
interesting. That's a very fascinating viewpoint because I don't think I ever really looked at it that way. For me, I don't say that I am out there like chasing the happiness like you said you once were. I do think that it's me looking at the things that are happening and deriving some level of like appreciation from that. Like not to go too deep, but like we shot another episode for an Wrapped, which is another show that we have. So plug. But after doing that I was very excited. Like I was very happy with the outcome. I felt like we did an amazing job on that. The whole team kind of rallied around. And so like for me that was a point of happiness. Um,
Okay.
that was a point of
Clap it up. Hey,
happiness.
shout out to the team, man.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that because in them, happiness doesn't have to be this large, crazy scale, bro. I think like, does your heart ever get warm? You know what I mean? Like, do you have moments in life where you're like, you feel certain things internally? And I'm like, when I saw that, like when we were doing like everything, I'm like, I feel a sense of happiness of like accomplishment.
Okay.
But let's not get too deep. Let's get everybody's feelings out first.
It's
So
like
sorry, Styles. Sorry,
we're about
Styles.
to
I
about to
cut you off a little bit.
call MVP the new Nori. The way
Oh
he came in
yeah.
with that clap it up there.
Oh
Oh
yeah. He
no
just
no
had
no!
to
They do too much.
just had to pull
They
out
do
the
they too much.
bullhorn
Look
and
at the air
start like,
horn. The air
yeah.
horn
I
is
was, I was
on.
thinking I was doing the bullhorn, but I was like,
Yeah.
nah, that's kind of loud, bro. People listening.
No,
I
but
don't know.
no,
But that's dope. That's dope.
no,
All
but
right, go
for
ahead.
real, I mean, I think the thing is, I've gotten to a point where it's like I'm happy to be doing the things that I enjoy doing, um, and maybe there's an aspect of wanting to do more of that, and I guess chasing that makes my last statement like invalid. Where I'm like, I want to do more like this. I would like to see more, and this maybe and maybe this goes a little bit into the validation point too, because I want other people to also value and you know find joy and interest and you know come out of any of the stuff that we do with a little bit of like, oh, you know what? This is interesting. I didn't think about that. To me, that means that we did a little bit to change somebody's perspective or their world or lighten their life, or even in this conversation so far, someone may relate to the fact like what Aaron said about like not feeling happiness and like realizing that they're chasing happiness and it's not a thing that they feel. Because I do think there's a clinical thing about it too, where there's like certain people who just don't feel happiness the same way as other people. So
Precise.
it's such a large like thing to try to even try to attack. But I figured, what better place in Juxtaposed to start having these conversations?
No, but what you just said there is the truth. I think everyone processes it differently. And for me, I was processing it a lot differently than what I would see other people processing it as. And that actually led me to a point in my life where all I felt was nothing but depression, because in an attempt to feel happy and chase this thing that I was never getting to, it made me feel bad. It made me feel like, what was wrong with me? What was I doing wrong? What was missing from my life that these people's lives had? And as a result, it actually had the opposite effect. There was never any happiness. It was always sadness because I couldn't achieve what I was seeing other people achieve. And then just through life, through aging, through experiences, I came to realize that, hey, you know what? Everyone does not define it the same. There are people, for instance, who love celebrating. It's their birthday, they have to celebrate. They pass a big test, they have to celebrate. New house, celebrate. New car, celebrate. I am not that individual. I hate celebrating things. As soon as I accomplish something, my mind is like, what do I have to accomplish next? Because I need to level up from here. This is just the beginning. People see that as a reason to go have drinks, chill with their friends. I'm like, what do I need to do to work harder to keep this going? I don't want to celebrate. I'm just at the starting
So,
line.
so quick question, Aaron. No surprise parties for you?
Ah,
Just
man,
just for future.
bro.
Like I'm like
I
I'm like
have
I'm like
anyone
surprise. Aaron be like mad as shit. Like hold
exact
up, bro. I don't,
pissed.
you celebrating and have and surprising me. I don't like that. Do you like surprises or not?
I don't. I don't at all. I don't.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If it happens in the moment, I'm not gonna be like punching holes in the wall, like, can't believe they did this. Like that's not gonna happen.
Uh,
But if I were to say like preference, I would prefer not to. Like, even when my birthday comes around, I like to just like straight up turn off everything and just like relax, like get myself to a place of zen. No people. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't really want to do anything. Even though younger me would probably have done that, the newer version of me on the day off, like, if the weekend comes and it's, go do something with friends, whatever. But on the day of, I prefer to just take it as like a chill, relax, just cool type of day. So yeah, I'm not huge on that, only because I realize that the personality that I have is more geared towards just like work and grinding and accomplishing things. Like that actually, if you want to say happiness, that actually gives me a deep feeling of pleasure, is to work hard and to grind. When I feel pain, especially if I'm feeling pain as a result of something that I know is going to benefit me in the long run, that's where I want to be. I don't want to walk away from that pain. I actually want to lean into it. So I started realizing that everybody's a little different. Everyone sees the world differently. Everyone processes their emotions differently. And I just realized, okay, this little niche is who I am. So let's lean into that.
The one thing I would say, and I understand that. I definitely was a celebrating person. I still am, to be honest. It's when it comes to certain things. But the one thing that kind of changed for me on that topic is I felt like there was a point in my life where I didn't do anything but work.
Okay.
And it was harder for me to like keep my motivation going.
Mm,
And it's like everybody's different. But one of the things that also changed for me was my younger brother passed away like a couple years ago, and after that it put a new like lease on life, because I'm like, if you think about things, you assume the older people go first, right? So you expect that someone older will die. So when somebody younger dies, you're always like, it always kind of makes you stop and think about it. And for me, my advice to people is, if you are a grinder, worker, you just want to throw yourself into something, you should still find the time to just appreciate the things that you've done in the past. Whether it does, and the time doesn't need to be like, oh, you go out to a club and blow a lot of money, and drink and do all of that. But find a way to celebrate your wins, because a lot of times, when your head's down all the time, you don't realize how far you've come and how
right.
far like the things that you wanted in the past are actually here. And yes, you're on to the next, but you also have accomplished a lot, and maybe a lot more than you would have done had you not had that mindset and that focus. But definitely celebrate it. So like I always tell people, like, if you're up to it, like I used to try to get him to celebrate his birthday, and it's a challenge. It is a challenge and a half. But like celebrate that, because you don't know how many of them you got left. And that's always my thing. So that's
No,
the one.
that I
I
agree.
mean, at the end of this, everybody has a different way about going things, and I think that's really what's going to be the subtext of this conversation. It's what matters to you. As long as you're doing what you're doing for yourself, it's what matters for you, and your happiness should be something that is self-derived. What do you like to do? What don't you like to do? What don't you want to spend time on? And you control that versus externally motivated factors. So,
So I want to jump in, right? So you say that, right? And my thing is, some people don't operate like that. Some people, their happiness comes from the happiness of others, right? And so they might not have, like, especially if we're talking like, what, you're 25 right now. Let's throw a number out there. 25, and most of your life you've been, worrying about your parents' happiness. Hey, they want me to be a lawyer, but I want to do OnlyFans.
wow.
But hey,
Wow.
hey,
Plug.
check out other episodes from In Crowd Network. So, like, as a lawyer, I might want to do that because I want to make my parents happy, and I get happiness from making other people happy. I would say, to piggyback off what you're saying, I think that only lasts for so long.
Really?
If your happiness is based on other people's happiness, I don't know if that's scalable, if that's gonna last. But I do think that there is some value to that too, because they're the opposite side where you're selfish and you just think about yourself, and then people are like, "Yo, you always think about yourself," and then now some type of level of depression comes in because you're like, "Yo, I always think about myself." So I think there is a balance there, but I just want to acknowledge the people that get happiness from making other people happy. And when we go to, like, what is happiness and what does it mean to you, that's a big part of it, right? If happiness is making other people happy, or is it yourself? And I think the conversation needs to be had to even understand that within yourself. Like, what is making me happy, right? So we at the baseline, we're gonna say, hey, what is happiness, right? But let's keep the conversation going. So, what makes, in your mind, for yourself, what makes you happy? Like, and I would pose this question to Aaron, because you're saying you don't really, like, really dwell on that, right? But my thing is, I think there are things that make your heart skip a little bit. There's things where you do, even if it's a small, and that's where the realization of, like, okay, this thing, you know what? I'm happy right now. Even if it's not big, it's like, yo, this small thing, like, you pass some exam, or, like, tell me what things in the past 2 years, just to give you a number to, like, think about. In the past 2 years, Aaron, what made your heart skip a little bit? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What things made you happy?
accomplishment. Like that's
Okay.
that's literally what did it for me. So if I accomplish something that I achieved through hard work, then that does quote unquote make the heart skip a little bit, because I know where I came from and I know the work I had to put in order to achieve whatever it is that I have achieved. So there's a level of, I guess, happiness that comes along from that. Am I going to go as far as to celebrate it? Probably not, but internally I feel, that certain level of happiness that comes along from the accomplishment, especially when that accomplishment was achieved through extremely difficult, painstaking work. If it's something that was achieved easily, it's like whatever. But if it took a lot of work and it was difficult, yeah, that definitely makes me happy.
Hey, I want you to go, Styles, because don't talk to me about accomplishments and achievements, because I think the smallest thing of, like, yo, I didn't have no trips or falls on my way to work and back.
That
What?
makes you
Like, yo,
happy.
no, like walking and tripping and seeing someone fall and everybody laughing at you and then saying, "Hey, are you okay?" I didn't have that today. That's accomplishment. Like,
Really? Okay.
hey, you could
Okay.
have tripped and fallen, and everybody could have been laughing at you today. You know what? You had your movements together. Your feet work.
Well,
I'll
well,
be
Your feet
laughing
work was
along
right.
with them.
that yeah, you know what? And not to go off a slight tangent. I've gotten to the point in my life where I don't care what other people think. If you
I'll
trip
laugh
and
with
you,
them.
if my tripping and falling was enough to make you laugh, then I have done my part in making your day a better
Mm.
place.
And
It
depending
sounds
on who,
crazy.
no, and I agree with you
Yeah.
because depending on who I'm around, I might make the fall even more awkward to make them laugh even more.
That's just it. But I mean, I kind of echo Aaron's sentiment about like the accomplishments thing, and I think that even me, like I feel like recently I've been in a place where I felt like I need to push myself in different avenues to find that sense of accomplishment again, because like the stuff we're doing here at In Crowd is a long grind, right? We're not going to see any. I don't, well, let me not say that based on what normally happens with content house that we're trying to build, it takes a while to get to that. And like this is I've been at like what we're doing here for like almost what 10, 12 years in different cases. Like I mean we
Definitely
we
over
we
10.
we did a podcast in 2010 on Aaron's channel. Like, so we've been at this for a while. And it's been pauses, it's not been consistent. Like it's been pauses and coming back, but like I find myself pushing myself for like new challenges sometimes because like I want to be able to keep the brain sharp, right? So like that being able to take on something that you're very uncomfortable with and then master it, it's like that's a big thing. I mean, I did that with like when I got my house. I was like, I had no idea about house. I know like other people had got houses, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a house, and I literally just threw it out to the universe like an alley oop. And I was like, well, let's see where this lands. And to be able to pull that off was impressive. Um, Not on my skills, but on the sheer fact that like, you went out there, you find the information, talking to people. I talked to Aaron a little bit. I talked to Nick about it. I'm sorry, MVP about it. I talked to a lot of people, and that was a challenge. And at the end of it, I came out with something that, probably could have made a better decision, but like I got what I got, right? And I have something to show for the time. So I think for me is like having something to show is also not for anybody else though. Like it's not like I show this off like I have something to show you that validates me as a person. It's more of like I have something to show. Like it's a weird thing for me, like cutting the grass and then being able to finish the cut and look down
Yo,
and you're like, yeah, that's it, bro.
Yeah,
bro, I'm
and this
sorry. I
is
gotta.
your
That grass.
Hey,
grass.
yo,
I
hey,
did that thing.
we gotta have something where we're like, yo, I can
Interject.
interject, like you know how you got flags on the plate, but it's not a
Mm-hmm.
flag. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe like a yellow or something, or like a
Gotta get the
green or
sports
something to go.
analogies.
But
Yeah.
like, yo, the thing about cutting the grass was like growing up was like getting the, you know how you go back and forth and you get that line
Mm-hmm.
with the lawnmower.
Like a football
When my
field.
line was perfect, yeah, bro. When the line was perfect across the grass, yo, you can't say nothing to me, bro. Like, yo. One thing, the lines on the grass is clean, right? And I made sure, like, cause like, say if you cut the grass and then you go back across the grass to take the lawnmower up and put it up into the storage, you better get off that grass. You need to appreciate my lines for at least 2 days.
Yeah,
You've been
man.
that step, and that's a sense of happiness in my, because some people might not care about the grass, but I had to cut the grass because of my parents. And my parents ain't had shit to say to me. Because every time I had those crisp lines, and they was like, you know what? I'm like, yeah, your son out here.
Yeah.
Little young whippersnapper, whatever that means. Getting the lines together on the grass. All right, sorry. Go
But yeah,
ahead, Styles. Go
no,
ahead.
but yeah, I think that like to that point, like, see, there was an a sense of pride that you had after completing that I think is very much tied to happiness for some people. Some people don't care. Like some people literally don't care. Like they were forced to cut the grass and they're like, all right, well, as long as I don't have too many patches, it's fine, right?
You good.
Like
You good.
so it's really about what matters to you. And this goes back to the larger question, like what do you derive happiness as? I honestly feel like happiness is a perspective. A perspective. I can't spell the word. Happiness is a perspective. It's what you look at and say, "Hey, I enjoyed that. I had a good time when I did this. I this experience that I went on is it changed the way I look at life, and I'm like I think to call out one thing, Aaron, you before the pandemic you traveled a lot, and I feel like that brought you happiness
It
because
did.
I remember you talking about the stuff that you did and where you went, and it was like it was a joy that you would like come
The
out of you.
spark,
So,
yeah, for sure.
so
That is
I think it's
true.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely did. And then I started realizing, like, hey, this traveling thing actually costs a lot of money, and I'd like to, I'd like to take these funds and move them somewhere else. And then the love for traveling kind of slowly disappeared a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I still love it, but I think I find more happiness, more enjoyment, more accomplishment in funneling that money towards investments. So it went from traveling to investing. So yeah, it definitely was a source of joy for me. I look forward to it on a regular basis.
And that's what goes back to my initial statement is perspective. Because
Right.
the thing that you found as like happiness are the things you tied to your happiness at one point may change because you may not want to do that thing anymore. Like for me, I remember at one point going out and drinking a lot was a thing. Like that was what we did, right? We just
Yeah.
drank and I'm like, I to the point where I'm like, I go out 2, 3 drinks, I'm good. Like I
Yeah.
don't need to because then you have to worry. And maybe that's like, oh, you're getting old, and like I don't. Also, getting old doesn't bother me. That's something that people get because oh, you're old. I'm like, yeah, and I'm still here for right now, so I'm gonna enjoy it as much as I can. But like, it is something to think about. It's like perspective. What did
Yeah.
you do? What I mean, like, what did you do before that? Like you were that brought you happiness, and then you elevate to another plane of thought, and just overall, just I would say intelligence, and you're like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, that changes as you move through life and you experience different things. What would be fulfilling to you at one point in life changes to something new. So your perspective of what is happiness or joy can be a moving scale over time.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, because I feel like there. So for me, I would say one of the things that made me, in the sense of the word, happy, right, is writing music. I would say, like, if I ever was to be like, you know, a famous person, I and they ask like, "Yo, what kept you going through the hard times in VP?" I would say, "Yo, on the train, right, going to my job, mornings and evenings, coming back, right, headphones. I ain't trying to mess with these dirty ass people on the train.
Damn.
Minding my business. Oh, sorry, minding my business and writing music, right? Like technology gives you the ability to kind of like get beats from online. So I would be on the train. I mean, always keeping aware, keep your head on the swivel, you know, but writing music and then being able to like write like a verse and maybe a decent hook by the time I get to my destination. I
That
would
makes
say
you happy.
that's what that like yo, it kept me and even like just not even just the train or whatever, but like just in general, just writing and like getting my feelings out into the music and making and creating art and stuff like that. That's one of the things that made me happy. And so when I think about what could possibly make someone happy, right? I think what you said, Aaron or K Styles, like traveling. That's not for me, but would you say when you were traveling, Aaron, that that was one of the things that made you happy? I know you changing it up a little bit, but do you feel like you had a connection with that
Oh yeah,
that made you
because
happy?
oh yeah, definitely because it was all about experiences and I just enjoyed those
Okay.
experiences, the experience of meeting different people, experiencing new places, getting yourself somewhat enveloped into new cultures. just being able to get a change of pace from your day to day, that was extremely. I used to book and look forward to these things, and I would go places and meet different people. That's how I've acquired quite a bit of my friend group, just from going places. So yeah, there was definitely a sense of happiness associated with it, especially because of the fact that I'm not from the United States. So moving around and seeing and doing different things kind of just became part of my identity for a while. So yeah, it was a lot of happiness associated with that.
So when you out here traveling and stuff, and this is to the whole team, have, Facebook, right? One of
Yeah.
the things I ran into was meeting the people on my travels, and now they're my Facebook friend.
Yeah, I have a few people.
And and it's like I don't really know this person, but we had that travel experience together, and I've still been friends with them to this day.
Same. Absolutely. Yeah.
Have
And
you ever
that's
experienced
cool.
that, Styles?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Aaron and I were a part of a group that was supposed to be going to Dominican Republic, and everyone flaked. Everyone else flaked,
No.
and that was what, 12 years
Oof.
ago, 13 years ago. That
Easily
was
2009,
um
2010, somewhere
yeah, and
around
it was
there.
everyone else flaked, and it was we ended up going to Miami, and my first time in Miami, and that was like one of the most epic trips to Miami, and it was just like it's just how it is. So it's like like it's definitely a thing. I mean, how you meet people, especially like work or traveling, especially when you're traveling. Though I feel like it's also interesting because I mean we went to Miami a couple times, and I think from all one of those every one of those trips we have like at least one person that we met that
Yeah.
one of us, mostly Aaron, keeps in contact with because I'm terrible at keeping contact with people. Um, but I also lost my Facebook, so I lost like all my people that were on there. But apparently now you can get Meta blue check, and they'll actually help you when you get your stuff stolen. I'm not
Yeah.
plugging this for them. It's just very upsetting because I'm like, I would have been paying for it regardless. But still, I'm like, you could have just given me some support. But yes, going off on a tangent. But yeah, no, it is pretty cool. The one thing I wouldn't say is we titled this. This one is supposed to be about happiness and validation. So we've been over
Mm.
indexing on the happiness section. So
Okay.
the question really does come down: Does validation is validation required for your happiness?
Well, I would say from the jump, we're talking about accomplishment,
Okay.
which the validation comes into part with accomplishment.
Does
Like
it?
yes, even if
Explain that.
like
Yeah, I
I
need
would say,
more.
hey, if I put in these numbers and I get a certain amount of money out, that's validation because if I don't have that money in my account, it's going to error out and be like, no, my guy, you don't have this money in your account.
What about
So
human
I'm like,
validation?
well, I don't like we could use human, but it's if I put this amount of time in or put this code in and I don't get back what I'm expecting, you didn't validate what I wanted you to do.
So with that being
Oh,
You see what I'm
said,
saying?
does
so
that
you don't.
then affect your ability to be happy because there was this expectation that took place, it didn't take place, and now
Bro, do you pay bills?
yeah.
If you go in your account and you don't have the amount of money that you need to pay your bills, you're not validated. You need to do some more stuff to get your bills to get
Well,
paid. And
well,
so when I go to my account and I see that I have the money to pay my bills, I'm validated. I'm happy.
but that
And
is
yeah, I'm going deep like because the human thing I think is easy. Yes, this person thinks, oh, great job, Nick. I don't care. MVP. I don't care. My account needs to validate that I put in this work and I got the amount of money to pay my bills and keep my family happy. And if it's not there, it's not validated. I'm not happy. We need to do better, MVP. And
interesting.
now y'all tell me how I'm crazy.
No, it's a fascinating thing because I feel like that there is a bit of I feel it might be slightly conflating that, but
Mm.
that's my personal thing. I'll never take away from your experience, but because I look at it like we've all done work at places where we are underpaid. So are you less validated based on the amount of work you're putting in?
Well, I was talking about your account, and the account is based on what you paid and how much you spent. So sometimes, like especially with things being automated and kind of like having things planned out, you be like, "Yo," I come back and I'm like, "Yo, I like past MVP because he planned out his account so well. I still got an extra $300 to do whatever the fuck I want with." That validates me. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't care about people. I want to hold myself accountable. And sometimes I get, and when we go to Aaron, when you were like the depression and like, I get depressed when I'm like, Nick, MVP, you should have did better with your account this month. And the easiest way to get that validation is to go in your account and see the numbers. I don't even have to ask nobody. I don't have to talk to nobody. I'm like, yo, you should have did better because you already know what you're getting paid. You get it paid every month,
See,
every
but
2 weeks.
I,
You already know what that is. Maybe
so
you should stop ordering DoorDash, my guy.
so
What the fuck is wrong with you, dog? You ordering all this food, dog. You know that ain't how your account. Like this, the savings don't go in the checking like that, bro.
that is a interesting point of view, but I guess that my one question there is like
Hmm.
there's sometimes there's circumstances outside of your control. And then, like there's multiple paths with this, but like there's circumstances outside of your control. Like for example, you could literally you could be hacked, right? Someone could steal your identity and take your money. Now your money's frozen while they do investigation. And then your the validation of your happiness is now gone as the result of somebody,
Maybe you should switch from LastPass to one password.
it doesn't matter. No, that but that
like like all I'm saying is, and we don't have to go deep into it, but I'm saying like, yo, maybe there was some because I've made mistakes where I just wasn't paying attention, and I'm like, it's almost like some meta type stuff because it's like, yo, the past MVP did some things that I'm happy that he did, right? And it validates me, it gives me happiness knowing that when I actually think about this situation, I took care of that before. So when I got to this point, it's already taken care of. I'm like, bro, it gives me, I'm like, yo, my guy, past MVP, man, good look. Cause sometimes I just say, I don't give a fuck and leave it alone. And then future MVP is mad as shit.
well, okay.
I'm like, damn, I should have did better with that. And I knew I should have did better, but I was being lazy or I didn't have the time or whatever it is. So I know I've tried to get my validation thoughts out before y'all got y'all's because I think y'all's are more like, hey, this person says, hey, you did a good job doing this thing, or this certificate came in and said, hey, you got this thing. And I'm like, there's different levels of validation for people. And my validation is knowing that me, I did what I was supposed to do,
Nah, I get that.
even if it's past me.
I get that. And in my head, it's kind of being defined as like a catalyst. So, from what I'm getting from it is, and I'll use your example, if I launch my bank account and I see that the money is there to take care of the bills that I have that are waiting for me, then this catalyst, which is the money that I need to pay these bills, either being the amount that I need or not the amount that I need, it can determine my level of happiness. Just in that example
It can.
alone, me personally, I'm not happy paying bills, period. So whether the money's there or it's not there, I don't want to pay these damn bills,
Mm.
but I'm a responsible adult and I have to do what I need to
Okay.
do. However, let's just work with the idea that the funds aren't there. It doesn't make me unhappy, nor does it make me happy. What it makes me is maybe a little disappointed in myself that I didn't do what I needed to do in order to accomplish the task. But in my own head, when I think about validation, there I think about people who literally rely on the actions of others to provide this literal validation towards them in order for them to be happy, in order for them to be able to get through the day. A person, it's almost as like like a child who disappointed their father or their mother, and then they become adults. They literally become human beings who need positive reinforcement from other people in order to feel a certain way. And that does not exist within me. Whether the person is content, discontent, being praising or not, the the way that I feel is the way that I feel, and it does not matter how someone else acts towards me. If you don't like who I am or what I am or what I'm doing, that makes no difference to me. It's just like with the example of what we're doing here within Crowd. There are people that may potentially look at this and say, wow, you guys have made zero progress. You're not really going anywhere. And someone hearing that, that would be demotivating. They would start to question their own trajectory. And they might not even want to pick the mic back up because someone told them they suck. That does not exist for me. I'm going to keep going regardless. And just the fact that I'm doing the work and putting up the content, regardless of how many views that it may have, there's a certain level of happiness and accomplishment that I'm going to feel just because I know I set that goal and I did it, regardless of what happens after that particular thing has been done. So that's what I meant when I personally think of the validation aspect of things. Like I have a channel of my own. I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter how slow or how fast it grows. There's a certain level of accomplishment that I get from just doing the work, regardless of the level of I guess attention that it garners over time. Whereas someone else may think, wow, I've been doing this for a year. I've been putting this up and it's not getting where I need it to get. And people are leaving negative comments. That can destroy some people. They need that validation in order to feel good about what they're doing.
So my question for you both is: do you feel at any point in your life that you require that validation externally in order to get you to a level of happiness?
I think I did. I think I did at one time. You know, when you're younger, but with your parents, like for instance with school, I can openly say when I was in school, it wasn't for a lack of intelligence, it was for a lack of interest. There were times I was not doing well in certain subjects. And yeah, the lack of getting that attaboy from your folks, yeah, that would make you feel bad. But I think in me looking for that from them and not getting it because of certain things, it actually developed a little bit of a callus to where it's like, if I don't care what my own folks think, who's going to be able to crack this shell? And literally, that took me into adulthood.
Got you. MVP.
So for me, my parents, specifically my stepdad, wasn't playing. So it wasn't even like attaboy. It was like, yo, don't get paws and hands put on you because you ain't doing right in school. Period. And so
I
when
hate
you
to
say
laugh at
catalyst,
that. Sorry.
oh, it's real.
So
It's
it's
real.
sensitive.
Black parents don't play.
I know.
So I'm
I
like,
know.
I mean, obviously I've grown from that, but
I've
nah,
been there
like,
too, I know, but just the laughing, it's like, what are you laughing at, bro? He's talking about getting hands and paws put on him. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
And
bro,
so,
it's like, yo, and it's crazy because I would still be doing, like knuckleheaded type stuff, but it was, hey, for me, it was like, hey, you can do this and you won't get in trouble. So just do what you need to do. And the better you do what you need to do, you can kind of do other things because it's like, yeah, if I mess up, but damn, he got straight A's in school.
And did that make you
He
feel
ain't out
good?
here in the streets. It made me feel good not to get my ass whooped, of course.
Mm.
And this is what I'm saying. Understand, we're saying it in a joking way, but yo, I was happy that I did what I need to do to not get my ass whooped. But as I got older, obviously that's not the same situation because you get a little bit muscle on you. You better leave me alone. So, but that it was already instilled in me, and so when I just do what I'm supposed to do and nobody has nothing to say to me, I get happiness out of it. Does that make sense? I feel like this is a therapy session a little bit. But like, do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I could go ahead.
Mhm.
Good question.
I was happy with the fact I gave them what they wanted, for sure. Because when I gave them what they wanted, it made my life more peaceful. Obviously, I'm thinking about this as I got older. When I was younger, and this is where I'm going like, yo, when you say, hey, did you ever? I really didn't care about people's validation. I just didn't want to get my ass beat. So I did what I needed to do like this. Is what I'm saying, like you know what to do, bro, for people to leave you alone. So my thing is, I did what I needed to do, and that made me happy in a sense. But as I get older, I'm like, yo, it's really peaceful if you just do what you need to do, and people will leave you alone.
You know what I
Well,
hear when
but
I hear
then
that? I hear happy wife,
sorry.
happy life.
Mm. Hey, maybe you got to do what you got to do, man. If she needs you to do certain things, especially if it's not like obviously, if she's telling you to like give her a foot in a piece of your body every 2-3 years of marriage, it's like maybe that ain't gonna work. But
Yeah,
if she's
yeah.
saying like, yo, I just need you to take out the trash, I'm like, you got hands.
Well, I think
Exactly. You
I,
happy wife, happy home. You know what, baby? I got you. I'll take out the trash.
well, here's the thing. I mean, that we just went down. You just
Yeah, let's come on,
can of
keep
worms.
up. What's up, Styles?
So the problem that I have there is that, or not problem. The one thing I'll call out about your description was that you did what you were essentially told to do just to make sure that they were happy. And as kids, I want to remove the kid part about it, because there's a certain expectation as a child that you're going to follow the rules until you get out and move out on your own. That's
Right.
that's across the board.
Standard.
Do you feel like that affects you still to this day? Like, do you feel like you're still in a place where not just parents, but like the training that you got from your stepdad, whether good or bad, is also affecting you in other, is helping shape how you do things in other areas of your life?
I would say yes because I've never been fired from a job, right? Um, because he was like a strict dude who made sure like I just did the work that I was supposed to do. And so I think that even like mind you, I've analyzed this as I gotten older. Obviously, when I was younger, I wasn't thinking about none of this, but it's allowed me to move in a certain way where I'm able to, work with people who are like-minded, right? Who are about business, who like, yo, let's get these things done. And I'm like, sometimes you don't feel like doing those things, but I still feel, hey, when I get those things done, this goes back to the accomplishment. I feel good. I feel like yo, I ran my 4 miles for the day, fitness. And I think even though I do have some feelings towards my stepdad, I think that, hey, if I didn't move like that when I was younger, I might be the type of person who is always dropping the ball when it comes to teamwork and you know what I'm saying? So I can't say like I'm not aware that it's affected me as a grown ass man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when things happen, sometimes I don't understand because I'm like, yo, you said you was gonna do this thing. We planned this thing out. You ain't do it. When that used to happen, I used to get in trouble for it. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, obviously, when you're grown, it's just people feeling some type of way. But I'm like, I'll sum it up because I feel like I'm talking a lot. Peace is what makes me happy.
Mm.
Okay.
Peace. So I'll be the type of dude like, yo, like happy wife, happy home. Yo, whatever we got to do. And I'll pick my battles when I'm like, yo, now you're kind of messing with my peace. I've been real peaceful with you. And now you're messing with my peace. Then I can be like, okay, say something. But my first initial reaction is like, yo, let's do what we need to do to be peaceful. Because I really don't have the time or the patience or really want to go through that. And that makes me happy. The peace
Yeah.
makes me happy.
I can see
Yeah,
that.
that's definitely, yeah, I can understand that. I guess the thing that like going back to your initial like validation, which is like seeing the money in your bank account. It's it. I always it cautions. I'm cautioned there by the fact that I've looked at a lot of things while I was growing up as these are things that equate success or happiness, right? Or like I look at like I used to work at a company formerly known as Circuit City. Now, if Circuit City still existed, there's a potential I could have still been at Circuit City, right? There was a place for me to go. I could have been a store manager, could have gone district manager, all of that stuff, right? But now it's gone, and I had to start a whole new path. But as a result of going on that path, I met Aaron. I met a bunch of other people. It led me to working at this place that I hated so much that I decided that I wanted to move to a whole other state, which is how I ended up working where I'm at now. So I met MVP. So it's like,
Whoop whoop.
I think that it's your life is about the journey. You don't necessarily always know where it's going to go. And so sometimes it requires a little bit of flexibility and always questioning what am I supposed to get out of this situation. And that's going back to the initial story about like whether or not personally, like seek validation from other people. That is definitely something I did until, honestly, I want to say until the point that I left New York and moved to Maryland. Because it wasn't necessarily that I was like, oh, Aaron's my friend. I want him to like me as a friend. None of that. Like it was more like, hey, this is the group. I want people around me to be happy. I want people, so I want to do whatever it takes to make sure they're happy without considering my own happiness, right? And no one ever asks you for that. No one says, "Oh, you should be unhappy at the goal that I'm making everybody else happy." No one in their right mind is ever asking for that. I think that there's some people that might ask that, and they have questionable,
Selfish
existence.
people.
Uh, yes. I mean that sums it up quite succinctly. But like at the core, I don't think that during that time I fully lived for myself. And it was nothing that anybody told me to do. It was just that natural be a part of the pack, make sure the people like you around, and that was a thing. I know that affected me the most when I was doing music. I was doing music with a bunch of people who didn't necessarily value the type of music I was making, but I kept sending it to them only, and I would wait for like, yo, that was hot, as a barometer of, well, you're doing well. And no, I don't care. I really legitimately don't care. I'll make what I want. I do what I want because I can put it out. I can make it. I can add it or whatever. I can share it out, and it doesn't matter. So I guess what advice would you give to people who are in that phase of I need these other people to like me or like what I do or support me in order for me to keep going? And I throw that back to y'all.
Uh,
So
I'm gonna throw that to Aaron. I'll leave it to
so
Tim.
as so someone that's in that position, the first thing that I'm going to have to say is you're going to have to find out who you are, because if that is something that you need, it tells me that there's a lack of self identity. You have not really gotten to a place where you have identified who you are, because if you've identified who you are aware of what makes you happy, and you don't need to look outside of yourself for that at all. It's there. You just have to do the things that are required to be done in order to maintain your level of happiness. So if that does not exist, that's the first thing you need to do, whether it be through mental health or whether it be through maybe traveling. And you probably have to travel alone and kind of, I guess, clear the air almost. Stop looking at your cell phone, stop listening to music, stop watching TV shows, like literally sit with yourself to try to understand who you are. And once you've actually gotten to that place of self discovery, then that answer kind of comes to you extremely easy, because you will naturally just gravitate towards what actually brings you joy. And once you've noticed what does that for you, doesn't matter who's there to experience it with you or validate it for you or say otherwise about it, you're going to be sitting in that happiness that you've kind of constructed for yourself. So that's what I would say. Figure out who you are. Once you figure out who you are, I think the rest of it is going to come naturally.
MVP.
I'm gonna say, how you gonna win if you ain't right within, right?
Okay.
And
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
I didn't really know what that meant until I got older, right? And I'm like, yo, you have to be good within yourself, right? You have to be so kind of piggybacking off what Aaron's saying, like, yo, you have to be good with yourself, um, because it's gonna be hard for you to be happy with other people if you're not happy internally, right? So I would say to people who are like, you're only happy with validation and like praise from other people, I just don't think it's going to be lasting for you, because if someone is either disappointed in you or mad at you, if that's your only base of happiness, yo, your mental is not going to last, bro, because you can do the right thing and people still be annoyed, right? We've seen it with social media. You can do right, do wrong, everybody's gonna be on whatever side they are, right? So I'm like, if that's what you're moving through in life with, like, hey, say if you start a job and now you're in this department and like your goal is to make everybody happy, you're it's going to be hard because you might make mistakes and stuff like that. But if your goal is to make yourself happy with like knowing that you did your best, you know what I mean? Like, I did what I was supposed to do, which goes back to what I'll be saying, but like, you did your best. I think that's easier to maintain, because then at that point, I think you will start to channel the I don't care what you think. Because if you did your best, why would I care what you think? I did, like, but you have to genuinely do your best. Don't half ass it and say I did my best. No, do your best, because after with internally and like practice that, right? Practice holding yourself accountable, all that good stuff, right? So that when people are not validating you, you're not becoming this person who's like a leech who's like, hey, I just gotta leech onto your validation. Because I don't think, one, I don't think that's healthy. And two, some people pick up on that and be like, yo, you're kind of like, you're trying too hard, bro. Like, you're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, when people get off that vibe to you, now you're sad because you're like, dang, I don't think they like me. And it's like, bro, do you like yourself? Are you happy with yourself? So those are the type of things that I would like caution people to like just think about when it comes to like validation and happiness, right? If validation is really what gives you the full happiness, and that's why I put mine on like my, me doing me and my account and stuff like that, because and like just holding myself accountable for like, hey, did you pay your bills this month? You know what I'm saying? Holding yourself, because I don't have to worry about if, other people in my family is like, oh, even dude, perfect example, roommates. Me and my roommates, I think we never had a problem because we all had our own idea of like, hey, if we're rooming with these people, how can I be happy in this house? My happiness isn't based on if the roommate's happy. My happiness is based on if, hey, when I have dishes, I wash my dishes. Hey, when the bills are due, I don't have no, oh man, give me 2, 3. No, I pay my bills. But if my happiness was worried like, oh, if I wash these dishes, I hope my roommate be like, good job, MVP, for washing the dishes.
Yeah.
No, just do it, bro. Just do what you know what to do, man. We all grown, bro. We know what to do. And I'm telling you, if you just do it, and obviously it's easier said than done, right? But if you just do it, you'll be happier, I think, and longer lasting. Because I think the happiness part is you're trying to get a lasting happiness. You're not trying to get like a 2-second happiness. You're not trying to be you're not trying to drop microwave hits in hip hop. You're not trying to
What?
sorry, I just like people just be putting music out and just like don't care about
Not
longevity.
looking
But
for that
anyway,
quick hit. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, don't look for the quick hit. Like I'm saying, like if it's gonna be happiness, I think you have to strive for. In the long term, it's gonna be harder. I think for the instant validation.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna drop the mic there.
So
We
basically, like
let's
find it so
yeah
that it can be sustainable. I get it.
Well,
yeah
my one
definitely.
thing that I wanted to add to that from the advice section. Well, it's a couple things. Um, but in conclusion, the advice is pretty much reiterating what MVP just says. Don't chase this next fix. Don't like the validation. External validation is like a drug, where literally every time you want it, every time you go after it, you may get it one time, and then you're like, oh my god, I have to get it in order to feel good about myself. Don't do that. Like just like take the time and figure out what it is you want and go after that and know that you're gonna get some lumps, you're gonna catch some L's, you're gonna be in a place where you're not gonna get exactly what you thought. But if you have a journey first mentality versus I just want the thing that looks good on Instagram. And Instagram and social media made that whole thing worse because everybody's trying to get the right clip for the right picture or the right look. And it's like the look is literally it's the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg didn't take down the Titanic. That's not what took it down. It's everything underneath the water. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just that. So like people have gotten to this mentality of I want to get just that perfect look to do this. And then you realize that people are chasing things that are not real. So that's one thing. Stop chasing the external validation because at the end of the day, it's not the thing that's gonna make you happy over the long term. Spend the time, Aaron said it, spend the time with yourself. Figure out what you want, what you like, and know that sometimes what you like and what you want may go against what your parents said. It might go against what your friends say. It may go against what your famous Instagrammer, celebrity or guru says because they said you need to do this to be successful. You are on this earth to be you. And being you is literally the one thing that you could have been a tadpole, bro. You could have come to this world and been a frog. And you know what? You're not. So right now, you don't know how you're going to impact the world. So you take that opportunity to give yourself to the world in your best form. Like MVP said, you need to do your best because you don't know how it's going to affect the rest of the world. And we've all seen the crazy things happen where, you know, some random thing happened that stopped you from getting into a car accident. So you don't know. You have no idea what you can do, what you're doing, or what your role is in this large orchestra that is life. So stop cheapening your experience by trying to be something else or trying to find somebody else idea of what you should be. Be you and be like enjoy that. And last but not least, I'm sure other people have stuff to say, but this is my last thing that I have to say. You are enough, man. Like you are enough. You can figure it out, and you are enough. Like
Yeah.
that. Like honestly, I feel like this is like a time capsule talking to myself in the past. But like you are enough, and you got to figure it out. And as I said before, you're gonna catch lumps. You're gonna be by yourself. You're gonna feel like a failure. You're gonna feel like, oh my god, I'm wasting my time. But figure out what it is that gives you that internal joy, and do that. And when it changes, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Because you know what? The things we did before are not the same, and that's fine. Just be the best person you can be, and don't be a shithead. I just had to add that in there.
Dang, don't be a
Um,
shit.
Wrapped
and
it up
and I'm
nicely.
done.
Wrapped it
Yeah,
up
I mean,
nicely.
I think that's my advice, and I give that from a personal aspect because I feel like that's a lot of things that I struggled with, and I'm sure other people feel the same way. So we saved it for the end for the people who made it all the way to the end, which means that you're more than a friend, you're fam. Dropping bars. Pick the mic back up. I'm about to start rapping again. But
Okay.
no, for real. I appreciate anybody who made it this far. This stuff that we do here is a labor of love, man. It's a lot of work, but we love it, and it brings us happiness. So the fact that you
Facts.
made it all the way here, it just means that you care, you know. So that's all I got.
All
That's all
right.
I got. So till
I
next
like it.
time. love each other and be nice to each other. I don't know. I ruined everything I just said with that. But seriously, peace.